What's next for Anthony Joshua? That's the topic of today's video. Let's get into it. Like, share, subscribe, leave your comments and your thoughts below. Now, there's been a lot of talk about what's happening with AJ next. You know, we're still kind of reeling from his defeat to Daniel Dubois. And there's still a lot of talk about, should he retire? Should he not even fight again? Now, I've always been on the side of, you know, well, he's had these kind of questions a few times after the Ruiz one loss. He had a lot of questions about it. A lot of people were saying, oh, AJ should retire. He's done. He can never beat Ruiz. I remember having a debate in a car dealership. The whole car dealership was telling me how Anthony Joshua cannot win. He's never going to be like that. And I was the one person in there saying, nah, man, I believe you can do it. And look what happened. Yeah, a lot of people will say it wasn't a great performance. I think it was a pretty good boxing performance. After the Usyk lost the first one, the same calls were happening. He needs to retire. After the second one, he needs to retire. And I've always been a person to be like, no, this is ridiculous. Like, boxers lose, it happens. Even the greats have lost. But this is the first time I've actually been a little bit like, he might have to really consider retiring. And it's kind of twofold as to why I consider this time. One is the method in which he was beaten. It wasn't a competitive fight at all. He was beaten from pillar to post, lost every round, dropped in every round, and also knocked out quite badly. So that's definitely a reason to think about it and a cause for concern. Now, I don't see you going back down to lower levels and fighting lower level competitions to kind of build yourself back up and develop your skills in order to go and fight Daniel Dubois again. But if there was a rematch, I would have to make Daniel Dubois will definitely be the favorite in that rematch. So it doesn't really fill anyone with a lot of confidence to go, AJ can do it. Now, the reason I'm not fully on the boat or fully on the train that he should retire is, I'm not going to take anything away from Daniel Dubois' performance. It was absolutely great. It was a great performance, but there were still holes in his game. There was still this, like, they've been tidied up a bit, but Daniel Dubois is still fighting the same, which means there were still holes in his game. He still got caught in that fifth round. And a more patient fighter, not to say AJ, but a more patient fighter may have been able to really damage Daniel Dubois in that instance. And also on top of that, AJ fought terribly. There was from the get-go. Now, a lot of people have said, you know, he never really recovered from round one, which I said the same. Like, when he got knocked down in that first round, never really recovered. But from the absolute get-go, he was fighting with making mistakes. Hands were low, chin was high. And there's something that Joshua's had before with his chin high. Even in the Wallin fight, even recently, and in the Ngannou fight, his chin's kind of been a little bit high, but his hands have not been that low. Yes, the lead hand has been low, but his right hand has stayed glued to his chin, really, really glued there. When he fought under Derek James, he fought in quite a tight, high guard, so both hands were up. When he went to Ben Davison, he was fighting with a nice low lead hand. And what I don't like seeing is kind of the revisionism. I've seen a lot of people now like posting videos of AJ's mistakes and saying, oh, look, he drops his hands here and he drops his hands there. Listen, a lot of boxers will make those mistakes. A lot of boxers, not the ones he made in the match, but people are now posting footage of his training and saying this was a mistake and that's a mistake and this, that, and the other. Heavyweight boxers are not going to box as perfectly as other boxers in lower weight classes. The low lead hand is what worked for him in the Wallin fight. It's what worked for him in the Ngannou fight. So that's not necessarily the issue. The biggest issue is he couldn't adapt to the fact that, okay, Dubois is not Ngannou, Dubois is not Wallin, he's not, you know, AJ didn't throw any feints really, but he's not biting on the small feints you are throwing. He's not getting confused by the jab coming from low, and he's ready to throw the right hand over the top. So that's where the mistakes are. And also both his hands were quite low, so you can see that he just wasn't fighting well at all. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Daniel Dubois because I feel like Daniel Dubois was fighting well, and part of what Dubois was doing was what made AJ fight like that. Maybe he didn't take him seriously enough, maybe he was a bit complacent, or maybe from that first jab that snapped AJ's head back, he was just surprised and didn't know what to do. But that is worrying, and that's why I'm like, I understand the calls for retirement, because getting caught with that shot is not an issue, but not being able to adapt to it and recover from it, not recover from being hurt, but in terms of being snapped back and being like, okay, Now I need to make sure I'm switched on for when he throws his jabs. I make sure my feet are switched on, my head switched on. There's just a lot of bad habits to undo. And that is a little bit of a worry if he does go back into the Dubois rematch. Now, in terms of, is there fights for him out there? People have said the Wilder fight, both are not looking as great right now. But annoyingly, Wilder's knockout was bad, but it wasn't as bad as AJ's fight with Dubois, because he didn't get dominated for all those rounds and then knocked out. But the key is that Wilder was trying to stay the heck away. He was trying to stay away from Zhang, and Zhang is also a low output fighter. So AJ versus Wilder could be a possibility. AJ versus Fury, if Fury loses, could be a possibility. It's nowhere near as big of a fight, so Fury might not want to take that fight. He might, if he loses and it isn't that bad, it's like a decision like it was last time, Fury might just be like, well, the money's not going to be the same, so why would I do it? And I wouldn't blame him, if I'm honest. And then, yeah, of course, the option of Daniel Dubois, I don't think that's a great option. I don't. You know, I still do believe AJ has the attributes to beat Dubois. He should have been able to do it. Really and truly should have. But Dubois was just too big, too strong, and was actually on it. A lot of it was the self-belief and self-confidence to just keep going forward, get him out of there no matter what. So if he was going to go in that with Dubois again, that self-confidence is doubled, trebled even. And he knows I can hurt him, and not just hurt him, I can knock him out cold. So that's my thoughts on it. Not really that clear, but I definitely do kind of back the idea that maybe it might be time to call it a day. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. See you soon.